Hey, I'm gonna make you all jealous right now. I got to listen to that 3 services in a row. I mean, it's just amazing. Can we just put our hands together for the band who just like, man, I'm one of those people that like music moves me. Like I'm that person. So I need a bigger gap between the music and me getting up here. You know, I just like this. Anyway, hey, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's joining us online. And I have a special shout out to my pickleball friend, Scott. I just found out that he could find his pickleball partner on YouTube. And so he's been watching me, and this is what he said. He's like, "You're a better preacher than you are a pickleball player." I'm like, come on, Scott. Anyway, Scott's been tuning in, and can we just give it up for Scott and everybody who's been watching online right now? So we're starting this new series today called When Life Gets Scary, and just kind of with that theme, I'm just curious, has anybody in the room, or if you're watching online right now, has anybody been scared lately? Raise your hand if you've been scared a little bit lately. Come on, 'tis the season. Okay, a little shy. All right, so let me kind of broaden this. Let me get you in on this. Has anybody ridden as the passenger in a car recently? Yeah. Maybe on the way to church, your teenager was driving, or your honey bunches was driving. How many of you ever been scared riding shotgun, riding the passenger seat? Okay, yeah. This is why my wife and we drive to church separate. We love each other, but we just, has anybody seen a scary movie lately and gotten scared with the movie? All right, listen, I hate scary movies. My wife, once a year, I give her one scary movie credit, all right? So she makes me watch one scary movie a year. It's normally on Halloween week, so pray for me this week, people. I hate scary movies. Has anybody been scared riding a ride like, I don't know, the Gravitron at Funland? Let me come on. Listen, the last time I rode the Gravitron, this is a true story. I ate a bunch of Thrashers and a bunch of Grottos, and I got on the Gravitron. And you can dry heave and be scared at the same time. It is a possibility, all right? And there's a lot of different things that get us scared in life. And I got scared a couple weeks ago. And a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, we had that big old nor'easter. Remember the nor'easter, okay? You know, where the weather was so bad. A lot of you skipped church. Listen, I'm not holding it against you. I'm over it. It took me a couple weeks. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But the weather was so bad, like parts of Route 1 got closed down. Long Neck Road looked like a lazy river. It was just crazy weather event. And so I was stuck inside that weekend pretty much. And so after the storm passed, finally, I had cabin fever. And so I decided I was going to go running outside on the trail by my house, like right after the storm. And I'm pretty sure that they must have filmed the movie Twister on my running trail, because there's just debris and stuff everywhere. And so I'm running on the trail, and I run around. There's a part of it that there's a little bridge, and I run around the corner to get on this bridge. And here's what I ran into. Okay, who sees the tree? You see the tree? Yeah. The tree, yes. Okay, there's a tree right there. And like, is anybody risk averse? And like, you think like the worst case scenario is going to happen to you? So I'm like seeing this tree, and I've never seen those Final Destination movies, but I know that they're all about like weird ways that people, and so I'm like, why has this tree got a Final Destination me? I'm trying to like take care of the temple, I'm trying to run, and I got this Final Destination tree right there. And I would love to tell you that I was not scared, but I'm a 42-year-old man who is allergic to cats. So I was scared. And so like I see this tree, and I took a picture of it so that, if the tree hit me, there would be documentation that the cops could give my wife to say like, hey, he was brave though. He saw it and he went for it. So I see this tree, and I start running under this tree, and I'm scared to death, and I'm praying like, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I hope this tree is hollow, so it doesn't like send me to you, Lord. And so I run into this tree, and maybe you're like, well, what happened? I made it. Because I'm here, all right? Like, I made it. But there was an obstacle on the trail. And here's the thing. I couldn't go all around it. There was no way really around it the way the trees are around it. And there was some water here. You can't really see too well. And also this tree, I couldn't go over it because the tree's like 10 feet in the air. And, I'm 5'10", or as my wife likes to say, 5'8". The truth is in there somewhere. I don't know. But in order to get on the other side of the obstacle, I had to go through the obstacle. Everybody say obstacles. Listen, isn't it true that life is full of obstacles? Isn't that true? And I don't just mean like, death trees on the trail kind of obstacles. I mean, our aging bodies have a lot of obstacles. Hello. Anybody wake up this morning, you had that hitch and you're giddy up? Our aging bodies are obstacles, are an obstacle, have a lot of obstacles. Our careers have a lot of obstacles. Our marriages and dating season has a lot of obstacles. And if you're sitting next to your person right now, do not give them eye contact. Being single has a lot of obstacles. Our hopes and dreams have a lot of obstacles. Our money has a lot of obstacles named bills. Our parenting has a lot of obstacles named kids. And when we get a lot of obstacles in life, life gets scary. And if that's not scary enough, here's what else I notice about the obstacles that we face in life. A lot of times we can't go around them. You just got to buckle up and run through the obstacle to get on the other side of it. Now, is anybody feeling encouraged so far? You feeling encouraged? Let me just tell you, there's some good news coming in this message today, because I just want to give you a few ways that we can get through our obstacles that we all face. And to do that, we're going to be in one of the most epic books in the Bible. It's the book of Joshua. And before we even get to that, if you do not have a Bible, or maybe your Bible's way, way, way deep under your bed to the point where you can't reach it and you haven't seen it since the 80s, we give out free Bibles here every single week. In fact, we gave out all of our Bibles last week. We had 16 that went out the doors last week, which is so cool. But we have restocked people. And you don't have to steal a Bible here. They are free. We provide them for free. Fun fact, the Bible is the most stolen book in history. That's true. All right. And my theory is because it's the most irresistible book in history, And so, but here, you don't have to steal it. Just take it, And so anyway, today we'll put it on the giant digital screen for you. But before we get there, the book of Joshua, we're going to look at a character in the book of Joshua. And the main character in the book of Joshua, besides God, would probably be Joshua from the second row, bringing it, man. So Joshua, God uses him to bring the Israelites into this land that he had promised them, called the Promised Land, so that the Israelites finally, after 40 years, get into the Promised Land. And the first thing they run into is an enemy city named Jericho with 40-foot walls. Can somebody say obstacles? So they literally have a wall. And I can't get past this. In order for them to experience the Promised Land, they literally faced a wall. They literally had to experience some walls. And so this is what happens in Joshua 6, verse 1. It says, now the gates of Jericho, which is a city that they walked to and came up to after they entered the Promised Land, the gates were tightly shut because the people were afraid of the Israelites. And so no one was allowed to go out or in. Now, quick question. This isn't a trick question. Were the Israelites in God's will when they ran into a shut door? Yes or no? Not a trick question. Just say what you think. Yes. Well, just say yes. That's right. Yes, okay? And so they were in God's will. Did you know it's possible to be in God's will and still come into or hit a shut door? It's possible to be in God's will and still come up to an obstacle. It's possible to be in God's will and still hit a wall. Have you noticed that just because you're in God's will doesn't mean that life is full of Lucky Charms and pixie dust and unicorn? Has anybody noticed this before? And so we can be smack dab in God's will and still get a smackdown by an obstacle. And so let me just encourage you though, all right, whatever wall you're facing, whatever obstacle you're facing, we'll put this on the screen. If God brought you to it, he will see you through it. That's cheesy, but this is true. If God brought you to it, he will see you through it. Which means, okay, whatever obstacle you're facing, okay, your career obstacle is not an obstacle compared to our great God. Our aging body obstacles, that's not an obstacle compared to our great God. Our hopes and dreams, those obstacles, our relationship obstacles, our money obstacles, our health obstacles, our parenting obstacles are not obstacles to our great God. And so when life gets scary, don't be scared. So I just want to give you kind of two overall ideas for this today. So if you're facing an obstacle right now, we'll put this up here. Believe that God goes ahead of you. Now, the other day, I took my beautiful bride who was in the last service. Some of you don't know if she exists. She exists. She just swaps services, okay? So she was in the 9:45. But I took her out on a hot date the other night to Ocean View Brewing Company for burger night. Whose idea you think that was? Yes, okay. And so we're there, and she likes burgers too. So we're there, we're having a date, we're eating burgers. I mean, this is perfect for me. And so I said to Stacy, I was like, can you believe that this year we're going to be married 18 years? 18 years. Okay, that's the fact that I tricked my wife into marrying me, and she's way out of my league. That is my greatest accomplishment by far. All right, and this is true. I have loved being married to my wife since day one, 100%. And so we're having this dinner, and I said to her, I was like, isn't it cool that we both have loved being married to each other since day one? And she had this look on her face like, should I tell him? And her face all scrunched up, and I'm like, is the burger bad? I had no idea. And she was like, well, that first year of marriage was, not so great for me. I'm like, this is news to me. I did not know. And she was like, well, but on the bright side, she said, you saved up money so that I could get a dog, and that dog really helped me feel comfortable in that first year, so that's great, Joel. I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to pay for this dinner at this point. And I did. I had saved up money for us to get a dog in that first year of marriage, and we have a picture. This is my little puppy, Eli, right here. Best dog in history, and I didn't even know, beyond him just being my favorite dog of all time, but he made my marriage so we didn't need marriage counseling. And I would love to tell you that I knew this, I was one step ahead. I knew I had to get my dream girl, this dream puppy, in order for her to love that first year. I wish I could tell you that, but I had no idea. But God had an idea, and He was one step ahead of me and made sure I got little puppy Eli here. And so the point is, if you are a newlywed right now and you're the dude, get your girl a dog. Amen. Right now. You may not be able to afford it. Listen, buy it. Put it on the credit card. 18% interest. It'll pay off. Listen, 18 years later, it'll pay off. But here's the thing. I didn't know that there was an obstacle in our marriage until I just found out. And so, but God was one step ahead. And it took me 18 years to see it. And listen, I don't know what obstacle you're facing. I don't know what wall you're facing. But God is one step ahead. Because in this story, all right, so you have Joshua, and they're outside of the city of Jericho. And so Joshua wants to see what's going on the other side of those walls. And so he sends in 2 spies. Everybody says 2 spies. So these 2 spies go into the other side of the wall, and they're spying. And in a weird, twist of events, they end up spending the night at a prostitute named Rahab's house. I'm not going to go into the details of that, okay? Pastor Nate is speaking in a few weeks. I think he wants to cover that as the main sermon topic for his message. But they stay the night at this prostitute named Rahab's house, and the king of Jericho finds out that there are spies in town. And so he sends out a search party to find these spies. He figures that they're probably at, Rahab's house. And so they end up hiding on top of the roof to hide from the search party. The search party comes to Rahab's door, the prostitute, and they're like, where are these spies at? And she uses the oldest trick in the book. She's like, they went that way. And it works in movies, and it worked in the Bible, because they went that way. And so then Rahab goes back upstairs. She's talking to these 2, spies. And God had been working on her on the other side of this wall. He was already on the other side of that wall. And so this is what she says, Joshua 2:11. She said, for the Lord your God is, I love this, the supreme God of the heavens above and the earth below. Which, fun fact, Rahab the prostitute ends up being the great, 30 times great grandmother of Jesus. Which is so cool. And why is that? Okay, I think it's because nobody is too far gone for Jesus' grace. Nobody's bad story is too bad that it can't be put in God's good story. Amen. And so in this story, God was already one step ahead and on the other side of the wall through Rahab. And I just want to tell you, whatever wall you have in your life that you think that God's forgotten you about, I just want to encourage you to let you know God is already one step ahead. He's on the other side of that wall right now. And that's kind of the spiritual encouragement part, but I'm a practical person, so let's get practical. If you're facing a wall in your life, let's give you 2 kind of handles on this. The first thing is this: how do I face my wall? Adjust your mindset. If you don't think you can overcome your obstacle, or if you do think you can overcome your obstacle, I bet you're right. I bet you're right. And listen, at the end of the day, yes, God is one who ultimately gets us through our obstacles. But in the day-to-day, it's our mindset that helps us get through our obstacles. Let me give you an example. So my boy Nixon got a mouth expander from the orthodontist the other day. Now, I'm probably the only one. I didn't know what that was. I'm going to help y'all. It expands your mouth. It is what it says, okay? So I'm like, oh, okay, it's very literal. So he got this mouth expander piece put in the top of his mouth, and as soon as he got it done, he looked at me, he was like, Dad, I don't think I can eat food anymore. He's like, I don't think I can swallow food anymore. Now, a small part of me kind of thought about our grocery bill. And my boy Nixon can eat. He is the biggest eater in our house. And so I'm like, well, this might be kind of good, you know? But Nixon's like, I can't eat that, and I don't think I can swallow. And so I told him, I was like, Nixon, it's in your mind. You can do it. It's just all in your head. He's like, I can't. And so for 2 days, my boy Nixon did not eat, which is wild if you know Nixon. And so he didn't really eat. And then after that, he spent the night at my parents' house, who he calls Mimi and Papa. He comes back from Mimi and Papa's house, and the first thing he says to me, he's like, Dad, I learned how to eat breakfast at Mimi and Papa's. And I'm like, well, what happened? Like, by the way, first, that's great, but what happened? And he said, well, Mimi cooks scrapple. I'm like, that was the key. But he's like, I saw that scrapple, and I thought, I need to think I can eat this, because I want to eat this. And I thought I can swallow this food. And I ate the food, and I swallowed it because I thought I could do it. And he learned how to eat. Now, isn't it true that most of our obstacles are in our mind? Listen, if you say, hey, I'm always going to be addicted, or I'm always going to be living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm always going to be unhealthy because scrapple brings me to my knees. Me too. Or our marriage is always going to be on the struggle bus. Your mindset, your thoughts will inform your actions, and your actions will probably prove your thoughts right. And so if you want to change your situation, change your mindset. Now, I know, I'm looking at you 11 o'clock. I know somebody's thinking like, oh, well, thanks for this section of the message that's sponsored by Tony Robbins. Very nice motivational speaking, Pastor Joel. Listen, this is not motivational speaking. If God is already one step ahead, if he's already gone ahead of you on whatever obstacle you're facing, why can't you change your mindset? Why shouldn't you change your mindset? It's not positive thinking speaking. This is just godly thinking speaking. And so if you're facing a wall, adjust your mindset. And then the other part that's practical is, how do I face my wall? Do your homework. Now, speaking of do your homework, I was doing my homework. I was looking back at when me and Stacey were first married. And the first year that we were married, we were broke. I mean, we were so broke that we had the first year, heading into the winter, we had this competition to see who would crack first before they turned the heat on in the house. Anybody ever played this game before? No, okay. Two people. This is probably why Stacey didn't enjoy that first year so much. You know what I mean? Like, this was my game, you know. But we didn't have any money. And to prove that we didn't have any money, I was digging around my attic last Sunday after church, don't ask. And I came across a monthly budget of our income and expenses in the first year of our marriage. And this is way too much information. But you want to see way too much information? Don't you want to just like pry into my life too much? Okay, so this is literally our sheet. First off, this is me and Stacey when I think we're 7 years old in this picture. Our income combined for the month was $2,386 because we were rolling in it. Our expenses for the month, $2,921. Anybody okay with a calculator and see a problem? If you see a problem, just say, you're upside down. Like, you can't make, this math isn't mathing. And so Stacey and I had done my homework. I saw that we didn't have any money. So what we did, okay, is Stacey ended up getting some babysitting jobs. And she started picking up lifeguarding hours while she was finishing up her college. I started a photography business called Snap Photography. It was wildly unsuccessful, but I started it. And I started teaching surf lessons, and we had all these like little side project jobs that we were doing. And because we did our homework and because God is faithful, we never missed a bill, even though we were broke as a joke. And so if you don't want to get buried by your obstacle, don't bury your head in the sand. If you're hitting a medical wall, do your homework and find the best darn medical doctor for whatever specialty you need. If you're hitting a money wall. Do your homework and find out how much money is going out, how much money is coming in, and maybe pick up as many little side project jobs as you possibly can. Also, don't buy a dog, okay? Don't buy a dog. Unless it's your first year of marriage. Come on, buy a dog. Anyway, if you are hitting a dating wall, do your homework. While you're kind of like in the season where it's a little dry season. You're not dating anybody, but you're in the dating season, but there's nobody on the horizon. In that season, find out the characteristics that you want the Jesus-chasing person to have that you're looking for. And in that season, you develop the same characteristics that the person that you're looking for is looking for in you. If you've hit a marriage wall, do your homework and, I don't know, maybe join Mr. Tim and Holly Godair's Bay Shore marriage group that meets right down near the avenue, and just do your homework. Do your homework, all right? And don't miss this. In the story, Joshua didn't just pray real hard. He did his homework and he sent spies in to the city on the other side of the walls to figure out what was going on inside the city of Jericho. So what do? We do our homework. We adjust our mindset and know that God has been working and he's one step ahead of us all throughout that. The verse that we did during the prayer time, during the worship today, I love this verse. So enough that we'll use it twice today. We'll put Deuteronomy back up here. It says, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. Listen, I don't know what you're facing, and I'm not downplaying it. It's real. Your obstacle is real. Your wall is real. Your shut door is real. But this is also real. God personally goes ahead of you. And if he brought you to it, he will see you through it. He'll see you through it. And so what do? We do our homework. We adjust our mindset and just keep your chin up. Here's the second overall arching idea is, if you're facing an obstacle right now, don't give up before your walls or your wall comes tumbling down. Don't give up before your wall comes tumbling down. Now, speaking of tumbling down, I feel like I should address the elephant in the room, or more like the raven in the room. I feel like I should talk about the Ravens for a second.
I agree.
Listen, I mean, and the rest of you who are not Ravens fans, go easy on us. We're in a fragile state of mind right now. The Ravens are so bad. Oh my goodness. Like the reason it's so hard for us is because we were so hopeful at the beginning of the season. This is embarrassing, but we do this volunteer rally before all of our services every Sunday morning. We get all our volunteers in here, and I do like this rah-rah thing, and don't ask why I got into this, but it was a week before the NFL season started, and I prophesied right here in our rally with all our volunteers, and I said the two best teams in the NFL this year are going to be the Ravens and the Eagles. By the way, you're welcome, Eagles fans. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome, sir. Steelers, yeah, that wasn't on my list. However, am I in a position to criticize? No, I am not. So anyway, we're 1-5 right now. We make the Cowboys look like the greatest football team that's ever played. We play the Bears in an hour. We're going to lose by 100. No team has ever scored 100 points until the Bears will today. We are so bad. Our kids director, Kristen, by the way, she's a Steelers fan. Whoever said Steelers back here. Okay, there you go. Yeah, okay. Listen, if you are like, is your church a church that gives grace to people? Steelers fans. I mean, we hire them. Anyway, so Kristen's like, she texted me the other day. She was like, hey, let's make a bet that when the Ravens and Steelers play each other, if the Ravens beat the Steelers, then she said, I'll come to church wearing a Ravens jersey. And if the Steelers beat the Ravens, you preach in a Steelers jersey. I'm like, you think I'm an idiot, Kristen? I am not making that bet at all. Okay, listen, I was so wrong on my prediction, and so I'm going to make a new prediction right now. All right, here it is. I believe that the Ravens are going to lose every game for the rest of the season. Full on. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm bad at making predictions. So what this could mean is that we went out for the rest of the season. Come on. I mean, there we go. We got Derrick Henry. Okay, I think we have Lamar Jackson. I don't really know what's happening. No, we don't. We're all confused. Listen, every 1-5 team has to have a comeback. Why can't it start today? I mean, I don't know. All right, anyway, we're so cooked. We are so cooked. But here's the thing. You may feel 1-5 in your life right now. You may feel like you have a losing record about whatever obstacle that you're facing. You can't sort of get past that losing record. But a comeback has to start at some point. And if God personally goes ahead of you, then why shouldn't your comeback start today? Now, you got to put in the work. Everybody say, put in the work. Listen, the Ravens better have practiced extra this past week. They had to put in the work. You have to put in the work. You got to put sweat equity into an addiction if you want to get past that addiction. That's right. You got to put sweat equity into an average marriage if you want to have a better than average marriage. You got to put sweat equity into your finances if you want to get out of the hole that you dug yourself into. You got to put sweat equity into it. So you got to do the work for the walls to start tumbling down. You got to be willing to just go a little bit further. Now, let's go back to the story. You have the Israelites. They come to the walls of Jericho, 40-foot tall walls. And God says to them, okay, I want you to walk around these walls 13 times in 7 days. One time a day for 6 days. And then on the last day, I want you to do 7 laps around this. And then I want you to, shout and, make all this noise. And then these walls are going to come tumbling down. Now, archaeologists believe that it was only about a half a mile walk to go around this city, which means in 7 days, all they got to do is walk 6.5 miles. Nothing, right? Nothing, right? Nothing. Except they've been walking for 40 years through the desert. You think your dogs are barking. Their dogs are barking. Their Birkenstocks got so many holes on them, okay? They're just, and like, oh, let's just walk some more? Go a little bit further? Are you kidding me? But they walk all 13 laps. And here's what happens after the last lap. When the people heard the sound of the ram's horns, they shouted as loud as they could. And suddenly the walls of Jericho collapsed. And the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. But they had to go a little bit further. Do you know the people who overcome their obstacles are the people who go a little bit further? The people who overcome their addictions are the people who say, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to show up to Celebrate Recovery on Thursday night. I'm going to go a little bit further. Woo woo. The people who overcome their loneliness are people who are like, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to go to my Bay Shore group and meet some people. I'm going to join a Bay Shore volunteer group. I'm going to go out into the community. I'm going to go a little bit further. The people who overcome high blood pressure, let's get like practical, are the ones who are like, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to put my shoes out by my bed. I'm going to set my alarm earlier than my coworkers. And when I wake up, I'm going to walk around that cul-de-sac 13 times and come on home. And then I'm going to go to work. And then there's going to be a coworker named Tom who buys Dunkin' Donuts for you that morning. And I don't know how to get past that obstacle, okay? But the rest of it, set that alarm. Wake up early, 13 laps around the cul-de-sac. The people who bust through their obstacles are the ones who know that God is on the other side of that wall, and they're willing to go a step further. Now, just quick disclaimer until I do a story, and then we end the message. Sometimes God puts walls in your life on purpose. Sometimes God knows that you don't want, and you want, but you don't need what's on the other side of that wall. So maybe you're applying for a job and you're like, I want this. Oh, this is the job. The guy seems nice in the interview. That's the job. More money. It's a job. And God's like, no, wall up. That boss, okay, he is crazier than cray. You just haven't seen him on a Friday night. Puts a wall up. And sometimes you're dating somebody and you're in love, okay? The butterflies are flying and you're like, they're the one. And God's like, no. You need to run, Forrest, run. Wall up. I say this sometimes and I'll say it again. Okay, aren't you glad that God hasn't answered every prayer you've ever prayed? Yeah. Like when you were in high school and you were dating that person and you were so in love, all the butterflies were flying. And then you were like, God, help me to marry him. They're the person. And then it didn't work out. And you went separate ways. And then you ran into them 20 years later in the grocery store. And you were like, thank you, Jesus. You have saved me. You are way one step ahead of me. Like, come on. All right. Some of you raise your hand on that. I appreciate the honesty. And so sometimes God puts up walls in your life to protect you. And if the Bible and your church and your family and friends all tell you, hey, don't bust through that one wall, Kool-Aid man. Don't go through that wall. Get a new wall. Get a new wall. God's protecting you. But outside of that, okay, don't give up. Keep pushing forward. Take that extra step until that wall comes tumbling down. Because if God brought you to it, he will see you through it. I'm going to end with this. I was in the Outer Banks back in September. And while I was down there, I got a voicemail from my old youth pastor, Mike Truitt. And in his voicemail, he was like, hey, Joel, this is Mike. I want to talk to you. I love you, man. Call me back. And we actually have a picture of Mike. And this is my buddy Mike, who I hadn't seen Mike for years before he phoned me. The last time I actually saw him, he showed up here to church, surprised me. He was sitting right where you were, sir. And Mike is just this guy who was my youth leader and one of the people who influenced me the most in life. I'm partly on this stage because of this guy right here. And he was the craziest Christian I had ever met. He was in youth group, there's a lot of crazy kids. You know that? He was the craziest one. He was our youth pastor. He's just this wild guy. And so he leaves me his voicemail. Hey, Joel, call me. Love you. So I called Mike and I was like, hey, Mike, what's up? And the first thing he says to me, he's like, hey, Joel, hey, man, I'm dying. First thing he says to me. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, Mike, I'm so sorry. And Mike never has had a conversation be serious for longer than 2 seconds. So that was the serious part. So right away, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, sorry? You don't need to be sorry. I'm about to be doing cartwheels in heaven with Jesus, all right? Don't be sorry. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. What do you say to that? So I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to get there, Mike, I guess. And I was like, are you sick? And wrong question to ask a non-serious guy. He's like, oh, I'm sick. I'm sick. And then he was like, yeah, I'm also sick. I guess I got, liver cancer. And he said, I was crazy in the 70s. I was a hippie. And he said, I did a lot of drugs. And he said, I shared a lot of needles and I got hepatitis. And apparently hepatitis will lead to liver cancer. And my doctor says I'm about to not make it. And that's where I am. But he was like, but Joel, just think about this. He was like, I was a 70s strung out hippie. And God rescued me and made me a 70s crazy Christian. And then he said, and over the years, he helped rescue me from addiction and criminal behavior. And I've seen his mugshots. There was criminal behavior. He's like, God helped me from unbelief. Like he helped me get all over these obstacles. And he said, God's going to get me through this last obstacle. And I'm going to be in heaven with him. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, so if I don't talk to you, I'll see you on the other side. So I went to Mike's funeral yesterday. And listen, it was a celebration. You go to celebrations of life and sometimes it's like not billed correctly. Like it doesn't feel like that. This was a celebration. And it was like the way Mike would have wanted. Because we were celebrating that Mike got over that last obstacle in his life. And he knew it. I've talked to people before they pass. He was the most giddy one I've ever talked to by a mile. He was like, let's go. I'm ready to get through this last obstacle. God's with me. What do I have to be afraid of? I'm good. Here's what I know. The greatest obstacle you will ever face is trying to face life without Jesus. He didn't have to face that obstacle without Jesus. He had Jesus with him. And he got a different outcome than I would have wanted, but Jesus is in the middle of all that. He's got that all figured out. But if you're here today and you're trying to go through obstacles without Jesus, I pray for you all week long that you would change your heart right now and you would bust down that last wall of unbelief or not having that commitment to Jesus, and you would follow him today. And this is the best moment of your life to get on the other side of that wall.